Well, hello, and welcome to 181 Days. I'm Jack, and I wanted to take some time to talk about our day trip to Mount Fuji when we were in Japan recently. I think this is a trip that a lot of people who go to Japan for the first time do, and there's a lot of ways to do it, but I wanted to give some tips and tricks that we learned to maybe make your experience a little bit better. So we booked a tour through getyourguide.com before we went to Japan, and there are so many Mount Fuji tours on there that are all highly rated and all look like they do pretty much the same thing. It's kind of whatever order you think you want to visit places in is generally the best to choose. We also realized that a lot of these tours are rated 5 stars because the guides will just ask you for a 5-star review. And on our trip back from Mount Fuji, our guide actually sat with everyone on the bus and asked them specifically to write her a 5-star review with her watching. So just be aware that you really want to read these reviews and make sure that it sounds like a good trip and maybe read some of the bad reviews as well. The group we went with was called Tour Easy, and of course it had 5 stars, but it had an itinerary that we also thought worked for us. So our tour picked up at Tokyo Station or Shinjuku, and we opted to get picked up in Shinjuku because it was closer to our hotel, and the pickup was chaotic. There was a whole bunch of tour groups and a whole bunch of buses, lots of crowds, lots of tour guides just yelling, and we ended up getting herded onto what was our bus. We got on and didn't actually get the seats that we wanted because they were blocked off for some reason, but then we began the 2.5 hour ride to Mount Fuji. Now, you can pick a nice itinerary online and see where you want to go, but what we didn't know really was day of, depending on what the weather is, the buses just kind of do whatever they think is best to get you good pictures and good viewpoints, which is nice. If you have your heart set on going to certain places in an order, maybe confirm that they will, but ours decided to just go to the last stop on the itinerary first because the weather was nice. And you can see we had pretty nice weather. There's no snow on the mountain, but it was, I think, appreciated that we actually went to this place first. It was pretty crowded. I think a lot of the buses did the same thing, but this is Oishi Park. It's one of the better viewpoints. This is where there's some famous soft serve that you can get in a big souvenir shop. But it was really good weather, so it was nice to go here first. But yeah, they did not follow the itinerary, so just be warned that that can happen. So I think my first real tip about a day tour out to Mount Fuji is that you need to prepare to be a tourist. This is a very touristy thing. It is full of tour buses and people just doing everything to get the best picture. And unless you book a private tour or a private car, which you can absolutely do, it just costs a little bit more money, you're going to be part of the horde, basically. We paid about $80 for our tickets each, and we were on a bus that didn't have a bathroom, and we brought our own food, our own water, pretty standard stuff. But just be warned that unless you kind of pay extra, you will be just part of the tourist horde, and just get your mind ready for that. All right, so after Oishi Park, we loaded onto the bus and we went to the famous Lawson at Kawaguchiko Station, and it was all right. It's a parking lot where you look at Lawson and the mountains in the back. We didn't really spend a lot of time there. It was a really quick stop, and so we loaded up, got some nice pictures, and then we went to lunch. And lunch is something I actually wanted to hit on because a lot of these tours say that you'll have the opportunity to go do lunch on your own, but we noticed, and ours did this as well, many of them just stop at a place and then charge you for lunch to eat there, and there's not many options around it unless you brought lunch. It was still a really good lunch, but just be warned, it was about 3,000 yen each, so it wasn't cheap, and you don't really have other options. But lunch was good, and then we went to Ashino Hakai, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with some amazing pools and water that they say brings you long life if you drink it, which there's a lot of opportunities to drink it. So again, super touristy, lots of people walking around, very crowded, magnet shops everywhere, some local goods that you can buy, and very friendly people, but we weren't there super long, just long enough to kind of walk around. And then we loaded back onto the bus and went to the Hikawa clock shop on Honcho Street, which is a famous street that you've probably seen pictures of Mount Fuji from. I guess they've actually cleaned it up a bit. It used to have a lot more wires hanging over it and signs that made it a bit picturesque, but it's a bit different now. Still really cool. Spent quite a bit of time there. And this was another point that I wanted to make. So we actually parked the bus in a town and walked to Honcho Street to see the clock shop and that famous view. And the last probably 20% of our day was walking. We walked through the city and then walked to this shrine, which was beautiful. And then we actually ended up walking up the mountain to get to the famous viewpoint where the pagoda overlooks Mount Fuji. That was 400 steps, and it was a pretty heavy walk up. Now, for most of the people in our group, it wasn't a big deal, but if you were someone who was maybe mobility impaired or fatigued easily and wasn't used to walking, it is a lot of work, and that was not really called out on any of the guides that we saw online before we booked it. Now, of course, with that said, the view is completely worth it. It's amazing once you get up there. Just be advised, Japan has been pretty hot. It was really hot when we were there, and we were pretty sweaty and disgusting when we got to the top, a little bit tired. But when you get to this Chirito Pagoda, the view is amazing. There's a really cool place that you can sit, and it wasn't super, super crowded when we were there later in the day. It was definitely worth the hike. Just be advised, it is a hike. But I mean, look at these views. It's amazing. This is kind of the famous view that you've seen a lot of pictures of. You will have time. We spent a lot of time there to just take pictures and get some nice Instagram type stuff and just ones for ourselves. When you walk down, you'll see it close up, which is also pretty cool. And then, yes, you have to go back down all 400 steps. There is a winding road that you can take, so you don't actually have to do the steps, but it's a bit of work to get down for sure as well. And then you meet your bus, and for us, that was the entire trip. So I hope this video helps you make a decision on what to do for Mount Fuji. It's definitely worth going no matter what. Just be advised it's going to be one of your more touristy days. Have you been? What was your experience? Do you have any tips that would help people? If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. It helps our channel out, and I hope that you have a good time at Mount Fuji. Take it easy.